रेडी रघुराम जी।
ओम सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहैः। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। You were discussing about that happiness because the question is that in the name of dharma you are coming in the way of our happiness. So I want to take one by one the various arms of dharma and to show you that they are not there to come in the way of your happiness. On the other hand, they are going to add something or the other more to your personality. And that's what we are going to see that. The first thing is that the simple thing that we have taken up the idea of what is called as Indriya Nigraha or Jitendriyaha. Krishna refers and then Upanishad also refer. And also we have that in the Sadhana Chatushtayam also. These are the Shama Dhamma. This is what is Dhamma is generally used for the idea of that you are disciplining over the senses. And the objection was that discipline, that means object is there and then I have freedom to go to the object. But you are coming in the way of dharma, in the way my uh, approach towards the happiness, towards the object. This is where we were seeing that Upanishad answers the question by taking the question to the fundamental level. That is called as what is meant by happiness. So normally the rest of the world also, everybody is concerned about happiness. So east or west, north or south, young or adult, poor or rich, everybody goes towards happiness. Happiness is important, and that we cannot deny. If we deny that, then probably that will be doing disservice to the mankind. So essentially that we are not denying that happiness, but what Upanishad says is that the rest of the world looked at what gives us the happiness, whereas the Indian philosophy said, don't look at what gives you happiness, look at what is the happiness. What is the difference? The difference is this way, what gives you happiness may not give somebody else happiness. So you cannot have a general view about some object giving happiness. Like simple thing is, I like Hindustani classical music, I would like to play. I love that. But the same, my own son does not like it. He will say that, Papa, what is this morning music? Can we have some better music? And he plays his own choices music, which I feel that it's a headache. So that means to say, I cannot draw a common line saying that these are the items which give us happiness, these are the items which do not give us happiness. That's a simple thing. So therefore, that you cannot categorize that way. Now, second thing is that an object which gives you happiness in the beginning, even that happiness continuously does not stay with you. It diminishes. But then still object is giving you happiness. Now here, before even we go to that question, what Upanishad talks about, Taittiriya Upanishad gave a very beautiful idea about the happiness that you are thinking is not just one degree of happiness. There are different degrees of happiness that we have. So therefore, last time we were discussing about what is the way that how the degrees of happiness has been indicated by the Upanishad. And Adi Shankaracharya picks up that question saying that if Upanishad is talking about the degrees of happiness, do you mean to say that it is some different kind of happiness? And what the world gives you is a different kind of happiness? Like, for example, I eat nice food, I eat sweet, and I get happiness. And is it the same happiness that Upanishad is discussing? For that, Shankaracharya says, yes, it is the same thing that there are no two different kinds of happiness. The logic for that is that if there are two different kind of happiness, somebody says that, okay, I will go for spiritual ananda, that is Brahmic ananda, but at the same time, I don't want to miss my material ananda. So I would like to have material and also spiritual ananda. So both these things that I would like to have, can't miss it. And this is one objection. Second objection is, If material Ananda we get it, and the spiritual Ananda we get it, material Ananda we do not get it, then what happens is that Ananda is not Purna. Purna Midam, when we say that this is complete, nothing can be added to this. Now that means to say there is some void is there in the case of Ananda, which is filled by the material. So therefore, the very premise is that Purnamidam, here it is fullness, it does not hold good. And then another objection about that material, this is not a different kind of Ananda. It is the addition of this Ananda, multiplication of this Ananda, that material Ananda that gives, is what is supposed to be this, the gradation that we need to improve. That's the reason why we attract people towards the Dharma, spiritual knowledge. So that is why this discussion in Taittiriya Upanishad comes about. Normally, you don't have any measure for the Ananda, but very beautifully Upanishad gives us a measure for Ananda, saying that one unit of Ananda is this. Asishto Dresho Balishtaha Tasyayam Prithvi Sarva Vittasya Purnasat Sa Eko Manusha Ananda. That means all the objects are there. You are youthful at the same time that you have enough money to buy that, or you riches to provide yourself with that. When all these things are available, also you have a desire. That means you have hunger to take care of it, you have thirst to take care of it. Then you fill these things up with. So therefore, this is when you do that, you are really satisfied. And that is satisfaction, he calls it as one human happiness. Last time we analyzed elaborately that this human happiness can be enhanced 100 times when we add this human transaction, material transaction, something which is higher than that. And what is that higher than that? On top of material, we add what is called as the Gandharva concept. Gandharva is beauty, Gandharva is music, Gandharva is dance. When we do these things, that means to say a person who learns music, a person who learns a dance or writing a poetry, the ananda that he gets in doing that is so much more experientially. It is not from outside. Experientially, he only says that, yeah, I'm hungry, I need food, there's a time to have food, but can we just finish this and come back? Can I just this one more round that after that I will come for food? See, that means experientially he is finding ananda here more than that. That's why Shankaracharya, when Upanishad says, Shatam Manushaha Anandaha, 100 times Manusha Ananda, Shankaracharya says that Shatam is not the counting. Because some people even that count 10 to the power 2, 10 to the power 6, and all those things. He says absurd. It is Utkarshana Eva. That means to say it is to give an expression of the multiplicity. That's what we say, oh, it was so wonderful. It is classic. It's 100 times beautiful. This garden is a million times greater than the other garden that I've seen. See, that million is not that we counted or anything like that. It's an expression. It's a expression of your exclamation. This is what is called as in Sanskrit, what we call it as the Utpreksha that you just show that. Whole 9 yards, we say. That 9 yard, is anybody counted or anything like that? How much work is there? Oh, my whole 9 yards work is there. I mean, work in terms of 9 yards. So these are all the Utpreksha Alankara in the Kara. So therefore, he says that even the 100 times greater Ananda is also an Utpreksha Alankara. But then he gives that there is another greater than that Manushya Ananda, Manushya Gandharva Ananda, is a Deva Gandharva Ananda. That means somebody who is by birth there is an artist, by birth that he has the talent. And when he sings, when he drinks, when he talks, when he dances, it's something which is so extraordinary. So that means basically the joy that he gets is 100 times greater than human happiness. Similarly, like that, he says, Karma Devana Manta. That means to say, there are some people, they enjoy doing the work itself. They get the joy out of doing work. This is Karma Devana. And then similarly, more than that is the Devana Manata. That means to say, my sensory, Deva actually means sensory organ. Anything I do with any of the sensory organs, that I'm ecstasy. I'm in such a great ananda. It means it doesn't depend upon this situation, that situation, or anything like that. My senses are good enough to get into that state of ananda. Like that we say is 100 times like that when we go further. Brahmana ananda. So now this question comes, last time also we have taken up, the very important question is that somebody who can sing will have that 100 times greater ananda. Somebody who is child singer has got much, much greater ananda. That's what we see that. Last time also everybody quoted on Ganga. The moment I said it, there were 10 of her videos have come to the picture. So nice to see that. So it is such an extraordinary thing. Then I can't sing. So do I mean to say that I will not get happiness of that? I am denied of that happiness. Why God provided somebody that kind of happiness? Then somebody sings that the whole world dances with that. But when I sing, my wife only says that, come on, stop this music, do some work, useful work. So where do I go? So therefore, what happens is does it deny me happiness? That's why every sentence that Upanishad adds, Shrotiyasya chamakata akamahatasya te shatam manushya gandharvana mandaha te shatam deva. Every time when he says that te shatam anandaha, before that he was Shrotriyasya cha akamahatasya. That means somebody is Shrotriya. That means actually Shrutis Pramana. Shruti Pramana is whatever the scripture said, whatever people said. With that, if I have akamahataha, that means I have followed my calmness of mind, peace of mind. That means to say that the techniques that are given by these shastras, I have calmed down my mind, various levels. So the more and more that I calm my mind, the more and more that is what we say in the case of meditation, the more and more I go into the type of meditation where the mind is peaceful, my ananda increases. So ultimately, Brahmananda is where my mind is completely silent, so that, as Patanjali says, you become one with the self. You become one with the Atmasthiti, Brahmasthiti. You are one with the divinity. When once you become one with the divinity, that's what is the highest level of Ananda. You don't have to have the music knowledge, you don't have to have the uh, knowledge of poetry, etc. You don't need that. But whatever that they get Ananda, a yogi, a sannyasi, or a sadhaka who reaches that state, he will get that Ananda. That's one of the reasons in our culture that artists are really uh, respected, artisans are respected, all these things are there. But above all these people, that they've provided respect for the spiritual leaders. And he may not have any of these qualities. He does not know how to read and write. He's a very coarse person, but his mind is peaceful. For example, that we have such a beautiful situation where Nisargadatta Maharaj in Mumbai, he was a simple person. He was sitting at the streets of Bombay, but he was an extraordinary, wonderful saint. No singing, no nothing, none of these things. But the knowledge was his spiritual gain was so much that above all the saints that he was kept. Similarly, Neem Karoli Baba, we see that he's so happy, he's so blissful. Just by seeing his picture, you can see that how blissful he is, how satisfied he is. So therefore, that his mind is so peaceful, so blissful, therefore that he is supposed to be the highest of Artha. That's one of the reasons that whenever they go into the path of spirituality, serious path of spirituality, they are named after Ananda. That means they're reminded that they pursue towards the Ananda to find within themselves. So, like that, we have all these examples of Dayananda, Chinmayananda, every name is like that. So, this is the way we recognize that Ananda is our own nature, reinforce that, and then anybody who practices these things will reach that. In fact, practicing, trying to teach that meditation is very important. It is to make somebody to practice that. That's only that these scriptures are given. This also again, I'll have to go back to Shankaracharya to say that in second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, then Krishna gives some details in the second chapter. Afterwards, Arjuna asks Krishna, what is this you are talking about, this sthita prajna? That means to say one who has self-realized. See, he is established in that his self. That's what is Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha, samadhi tasya keshava, sthitadi kim prabhasita, kim asita vrajeta kim. That's what Shankaracharya, that's what Krishna says to Arjuna. I mean, Arjuna asked the question to Krishna. For that, Shankaracharya, while giving the comments, he says that why he is discussing about this Sthita Prajna Lakshanas, the qualities of Sthita Prajna. See, because somebody who is established in Sthita Prajna, he may have those qualities. But I am where I am. I'm an ordinary human being. I'm with my family. I'm with my life problems and all that. In what way that discussing of that will help me? That is what is the Purva Paksha, the question that Shankaracharya picks up. And then he answers saying that whatever the qualities that is given for the Chitta Prajna, they may be natural qualities for them, but they are the qualities consciously you need to practice. So, Yani Chitta Prajnasya Lakshanani, Tani Sarve Janaha Sadhana Bhuktani. For the common man, this is supposed to be practiced. Like, for example, Dukkeshu Anidvigna Manaha, Sukeshu Gatasvara. It's an extraordinary, wonderful quality of a Sthita Prajna. But for us, it's not like that. Dukkha, Anudvega, with Udvega comes for me. Sukha comes something like that. So when I know this, when I read these things, then every time that I'm reminded of that, no, I need to be consciously practice this. Not for anything else, because I also am motivated by that concept of Sthita Prajna. So therefore, this is the idea of sadhana. So all this knowledge that we have is for the sake of sadhaka. So that is why he gives all these different levels of ananda, so that sadhaka reaches that ananda. Now ananda is within us, ananda we reach that. This is what he says. Now this nutty question of the student still continues. It's all right, but in what way you say an object is making me that happiness? Because I eat some sweet and I get happiness, I drink some coffee gets me happiness, or I indulge in sex and gives me happiness, and to say that even this object outside also is giving me the same happiness, which is supposed to be spiritual practices, meditation is going to give me that. For that, a beautiful explanation that Upanishad gives us is that, normally, in order to do that, we should understand our nature as it is. What happens with us is that normally at any point of time, when you look at yourself, we have some basic restlessness. You can't sit quiet for 5, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. You have to do something or the other. You have to get yourself engaged in some activity or the other. And a bug enters into the mind saying that I'm wasting my time. Or you have to sleep. And then the problem is that I sleep during the daytime because I don't have any work. Night, who will sleep for me? So therefore, that sleep is denied. That's what they also say, that don't sleep in the daytime so that you will not sleep in the night. See, sleep cannot be a substitute. Another thing is, sleep is not in our hands. The unfortunate thing is, sleep is not what we do. Sleep happens. Wherever you want it, it does not happen. Where you don't want it, it happens. Like driving the vehicle on the street, you don't want to sleep. Obviously, but then sleep happens. So it's not in our hands. So I can't suggest you sleep. Sleep is not in our hands. I have to give you a pill, I mean, not only a pillow, but a pill also, so that you can sleep. Both these things are necessary. So therefore, sleep is not in our hands. But then content of the sleep is mind becoming quiet. This is what Upanishad says. In the sleep, what happens? Buddhischana vicheshtati. Everything is become quiet. Even the intellect becomes quiet. Tam ahoho paramam gatim. Then you are going to that state of silence in the sleep state. Esasya paramanandaha. The ananda of the sleep is mind becoming quiet. Mind becoming peaceful. All worries, everything is set aside. It's not the question of bad worries or bad problems and all that. Even good worries, good problems are set aside. It's so beautifully says that Mata amata bhavati, pita bhavati, steno bhavati, brunaha bhavati. Mother is no more a mother, father is no more a father. When it says like that, it's not that mother is always a mother, whether the mother sleeps or wakes up. That's not the question. The idea is mother's anxieties, worries about the child. The moment the mother goes to sleep, you see that all the worries about the child is just forgotten. Many times I see that sitting in the airport, mothers just take a nap and the child is waiting for that opportunity. He just walks in because I see the whole large airport is waiting for him and passing through all those. Suddenly, mother wakes up, where is the child? What happened to you? The worry of the child is forgotten for a moment. I'm not saying that you should forget it, but the thing is that it's an important thing. Mother's worry is an important. Similarly, pita apita bhavati. So not only the father, mother, even the father also is like that. I always recollect one of the stories of my colleague when I was in the project area, the bachelor. That incident is still so vivid in front of my eyes. Actually, now it's about 40 years back. And now that his son is actually the person who story it is, and then he's already in USA, he has children, everything is there. But even that boy also doesn't remember, doesn't forget now the situation. And that boy was something like 1.5 years or something like that. Project areas, we don't have any medical facilities, at least those days. So for anything, we have to come to the nearby city. And evening, we were going for the club to play. And then my friend said, I'm not really very comfortable because my son is running temperature. I said, casually, how much is it? Said, since how long? I said, 3 days. Come on, let's go and see your son. Going to the club is not important. So I went to his house. I looked at the child with my little knowledge of medicine. So I found the child is in such a state where you have to rush him to the hospital so that he can get the treatment. Otherwise, we may not have him. So immediately we pressed a vehicle and then rushed to the city. His mother, his wife and child and myself, we rushed to the hospital evening 8 o'clock. And by that time, child is almost like, half in a some semi-conscious state. And the doctor uh, did the venesection and pushed the drips to the child and said that, even now I cannot guarantee whether the child will survive. Do all kinds of things. Give me 3, 4 hours so that the child will recover. So we were all waiting for the child to recover. Everybody is around the child. Project areas the work is so heavy, morning to night, that you are with all the heavy work, one will be really, really tired, needs sleep. So I looked at my friend. He's so tired. All he needs is just a horizontal surface that he will sleep on. So I recognized that. I said, hey, come on, you sleep. Otherwise, you will become sick tomorrow. He said, my child, Are Baba, your child only. But your wife is there to take care of it. So myself and his wife, we were sitting there by the side of the child. This fellow felt asleep. Finish. Completely like a log. But then the child recovered in any case. But he said before going to sleep, wake me up at 6 o'clock. 6 means not 6:01, absolutely 6 o'clock. I said, Baba, definitely I'll do it. And then I woke up, he said 5 o'clock. So I woke him up at 5 o'clock. And I woke him up at 5 o'clock because he was so tired. He just didn't want to get up. He shrugged. I said, come on, wake up. Child is sick. He said, go to hell with the child. Halagogi. This is a very typical way of expressing it in the Kannada. He said, anyway, let him sleep because the child is recovering. 6 o'clock, I woke him up. 6 o'clock, he got up and said that, hey, I told you to wake me up at 5 o'clock. What did you do? I said, I tried to wake you up, but this is what you said. See, this is what happens when you are sleeping. In sleep, even your responsibility as a father just dies. No, non hange. How do I say that for my child? Are you don't not only say to the child, you don't say to yourself. When you're driving in the night, middle of the night, coming home, the car, and they want to reach home another half an hour. You don't want to take a break. And what happens to you? You do you fall asleep? And when you fall asleep, what happened to you? What does it mean? Go to hell with yourself. So therefore, that it's not a question of whether it is your son or your, but good responsibilities also forgotten. Not only that, he says, ananvagatam papena, ananvagatam punyena. Not only good desires, good activities, but even the bad desires, bad activities also drop off in the sleep. Like the way for us, secondly, even a criminal is going to go die off, sleep off the moment he goes to sleep, they dissolve. That's what it says, that a thief becomes no more a thief, a murder becomes no more a murder in the sleep state. In fact, that's one of the reasons in the our Dharma Shastra say that when even a thief, when he's sleeping, don't kill him because he's a saint there. When he wakes up, then his whole bad instincts come up, then you punish him. That will change him. So you are not being followed by the good or bad of the mind. It's mind, that means to say even the intellect has this idea of good and bad, right and wrong, and all that. Everything has become silent. You cross all those things and go beyond. And that going beyond all those things is the happiness. Esasya paramanandaha. Not only that, he says the second thing, esosya paramasamvito. In fact, that's what is rejuvenating us. Every time you go to sleep, mind become quiet. You are in touch with your nature and you are happy, blissful experience. Not only that, but at the same time that you become energetic next morning to get back to work. So that energy comes from that peaceful state. Energy is there within you. You are that source of energy. And that you touch and come back with the next energy. So all these ideas of Upanishad show us our own experience, derived out of our own experience, that Ananda is there within us. Our nature is Ananda. So therefore, you touch that state of Ananda whenever you go to sleep. Now the question is this restlessness that we have. When you see that, the simple idea that he says, just keep quiet, sit down, don't do anything. Particularly on a weekend that comes, stop every activity on weekend. Take a complete holiday, absolute holiday. Don't sleep off. Because sleep is an escape. In fact, the Upanishad says, as long as you sleep, you are not alive. So if you want to alive, if you want to enjoy the vacation, wakeful and then sit down. We can't do that. So therefore, what need to happen is that we have to do some activity or the other. Now this mind plays a trick. Yeah, today is a holiday that you have a time. Why don't you clean the shelves and clean that, arrange these books, arrange this thing. See, you pick up an activity for yourself. You do all those things. Don't do any of these things. Sit quiet. Just don't have to do it. Your good wife, sweet wife says that, sir, you don't have to do anything. I will do for you. You just sit quiet. No. In fact, now this good Samaritan comes into the picture. He says that I will help you. See, you give all kinds of excuses, not to help somebody, but to see that you are becoming peaceful inside. Your restlessness, you take. And that's what every activity that we do. This is what Upanishad says, that Navare patyukkamaya patipriyam bhavati, atmanastu kamaya patipriyam bhavati. I go to the husband and say that, wow, you are wonderful, you are great and all that. By saying all those things, not that you are pleasing him, but you are getting the peaceful state inside you. Navare putrasya kamaya putra priyam bhavati, atmanastu kamaya putra priyam bhavati. Navare, like that he goes on and on. Finally, the fellow says about the Upanishad, there he really takes out all the. Now you are reading this Upanishad. Navari Vedanam Kamaya Veda Priyam Bhavati, Atmanastu Kamaya Veda Priyam. Even getting rid of this boredom that you are reading this Upanishad also. The Upanishad says that. So therefore, essentially, we want to do some activity or the other to go to that silence. And there's a common thing that you can see that on the holiday, the housewives complain is, whenever holiday comes, my husband, number of coffees I have to supply to him, it exponentially increases. And two times that you have holidays, that weekend holidays, third weekend holiday, immediately you start complaining. You see, last 2 weekends we did not do anything. This time at least we have to go to some town or the other, some village or the other, some place or the other. If not anything else, we should go somewhere and eat some other food. See, all these things have to spend our energy. You spend that energy, it becomes silent. This is what Indian philosophy says, that the restlessness is there in the head. Energy or pranic energy continuously shoots up into the head. Why it shoots up? Because that we push this energy up by our own desires, by our own vasanas, by our own uh, wanting to achieve something. These are the things which will push energy into the head region. And that energy, it is used to that kind of a thing all throughout the day. Every day we work for the sake of some goals or anything like that. So therefore, we are used to that kind of pushing the energy. If you don't have any goal, I said, why not we have some goal? Why not we push it? So therefore, this pushes energy, and that we spend in the form of various activities, restlessness. I used to do some small little trick while I was in the office while working. I would keep a white sheet and a pen there. And so, somebody comes and want to discuss with me, talk to me something. So, generally people would come to me for discussing about the Vedantic philosophical idea. Initially, I discuss few things and then I keep the pen and paper. I said that, give me 1 minute, I'll come back. I will go out and I wait for 15 minutes. And then I come back. I'm sorry, I made you to wait for 15. Yes, tell me what it is. Meanwhile, I noticed the paper that is there, he would have scribbled. Many times people scribble their signature on the paper. Why do you have to do that? You can't keep quiet. You have to scribble something or the other. You have to move your legs. Swami Anubhavananda says very beautifully. When somebody is moving the legs, under the table like that, he says, you want to go fast? You're sitting in the chair, because you want to spend that energy. So therefore, we talk away that energy in the gossip. We eat away that energy by doing all kinds of junk food, or we drink away by cups of coffee, this drink, that drink, and all that. So this is how we are spending our restlessness. And every time that you spend the restlessness, there is a silence inside, emptiness in the mind, and that emptiness is giving us the happiness. Object giving us happiness is also pseudo. It's only the emptiness which gives me happiness, but appears to be giving us happiness. This is what is the thing in the whole nature itself. You see that we know very clearly what is the reality of the nature, but then in spite of the fact we know the reality of the nature, we are still guided by the wrong picture. Like, for example, when you put the stick in the water, the stick is bent at the junction of water and air. And we know very clearly it is because the difference in the density. Therefore, it bent. But in spite of it, we know that it's a phenomena. We still see the stick bent. Just because that now I know physics very well and I scored the best marks in the physics so that I cannot see a stick bent, it's still stick bent. Similarly, the rainbow. Today we know that rainbow is nothing but the reflection of light. But we still see the rainbow in spite of the fact we know so. Much more than that, more fascinating thing is today everybody knows that the earth goes around the sun. But don't we refer to sunrise and sunset? Never sun rises, never sun sets. But this is something which is just because the knowledge is there, it does not mean the perception knows. Knowledge is there, but in spite of it, that we still usage is there. The same way that I know very well that it is the silence of the mind. My nature is happiness, giving me happiness. Is the silence giving me happiness? In spite of it, I go to the object for the sake of happiness. So, but I know very well I don't depend on the object outside. This very knowledge brings me out of dependency on the object outside. Why that dependency on the object we have to come out of it is because every dependency that we generate is actually taking away your freedom. The more and more that you're dependent on the object, the less and less that you have the freedom. Like, for example, early morning, you get up in the morning, you are peaceful, you are very nice. In place like Prashanti, when some gets up, oh, nature around, they go ahead and do yoga. But then if you are habituated to get coffee, then you start looking for where is the coffee. You realize that Prashanti doesn't have coffee in the morning. Every day. Many people come to give me an advice. Raghuramji, everything is nice and Prashanti, but you should introduce early morning cup of coffee. See, why do you have to become like that? Don't you give, are you not losing your freedom on that? So this is what happens. You become enslaved by the object. That's why it says that an object enslaves you. Any object enslaves you. So therefore, that you should be very careful to see that you don't get used. But then it is enslaving is not only at one level. It goes to deeper and deeper. It goes to the level of your physiology. That means if you didn't have cup of coffee, your physiology rebels to that. That's why people in Prashanti sometimes some people come and complain saying that in the morning, if I don't get coffee, I'll get a severe headache. Why do you have to get headache? I mean, you have a head, that's fine. Does not mean just coffee is not there. And coffee doesn't enter into your head. Coffee goes down your throat, into the stomach. But then headache is there on the top. So what is it? You have unnecessarily given a connection to these things. This is what is addiction. If you have a headache, it's okay for me, but if you become my headache, then it becomes a difficult thing. So therefore, essentially, that it enslaves you, an object. That's what in Mahabharata he says that Najatu kama kamanam upabhoge na shamyate. Like the way that the fire is going down, fire is glowing. So you put the ghee to quench the fire. Initially, because the fire looks to be slowed down, but it takes all the more support of the ghee and glows bigger. So now you are all the more motivated to have more, motivated to go ahead. It's always there. Last time also I was giving an example of Mullah Nasruddin. So one day he said that I will not drink, and definitely he did not drink, and the whole day controlled. He didn't want to go to the pub, just cross the street, and I said, wow, he was very happy that he did not enter into the pub. I said, I'm really great. I did not enter the pub. So now he found himself to be a victor because he did not. I said, I must celebrate this situation. And how to celebrate? He went into the pub. Now this time, ordinary peg plus celebration peg one. Now onwards, it is two pegs, not one peg. Like that. It becomes like that. So this is what the problem with the object outside. It enslaves you. Any object enslaves you. That's the reason why Vedanta says, or Sanatana Dharma says, once in a while, periodically, you stop that going after the object outside so that you consciously recognize your freedom. You don't have to be enslaved by the object. Object should not drive you, but you have the mastery over that. So that's why these disciplines are suggested in the case of this, what is called as the Indriya Jaya. Indriya Jayatva, or in other words, Jitendriyaha. Jitendriya does not mean, see, there are two ways of people understand that. One is that you try to hold it tight. That means wherever the Indriya are trying to run right, you try to hold it there. And that's what is pressurizing. And if you do that way, internally you are pressurized. Two things that happen. One thing is that you become so irritable because that it has to show somewhere else. That restless energy shows in the form of irritability in the mind. And that irritability disturbs you. That's why many times, the mother says to the children, today avoid going towards dad because dad is doing upavasa. See, when dad does upavasa, he creates a hell in the house because it runs right at the other area. The second important thing is that person who does this kind of a discipline for the sake of discipline, he does it. Then he sees in the world people who are not disciplining. And only that he sees, and then see, this fellow is bad, that fellow is bad. See, look at him, he goes to the pub. Look at this person, he does like that. See, we always find fault with that. It's not a spiritual growth when we find fault with that. The greatness of Ramakrishna is that he never found fault with the people that were like that. He just allowed them to, but he was giving that spiritual thought. So that's what happened. Giri Ghosh, when he came to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, he never said you should stop drinking or anything. He said various things about the spirituality, but then he found out, I drink. And then he came to Ramakrishna, I drink. Ramakrishna said, don't drink. That's a simple thing. Because Ramakrishna said he stopped drinking. He wanted to become, and this time he was only controlling it from the senses level. He said, I should not go for drinking. But then it was become so difficult for him. There was so much of sadness, depression, all those things were happening. Then he had to go back for drinking. Then what to do? So they came to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. He said, ever since he heard your talk that you should not drink, he stopped drinking, but essentially that he became mad like this and he's depressed and he's not in the proper mood and he's spoiling his health. Ramakrishna just laughed at him and said that I told in general not drinking is bad for health, but I never said you should stop drinking and drink it. I give you permission. But the evils of drinking, he said that you give it in such a way that the evils you drink so that surrender the evils to me, surrender everything to me, and then you drink. Now, he said, wow. Ramakrishna gave him permission. He was so very happy. Went home, read, and he arranged his table, dining, drinking table. He said, people, they drink so ritualistically, they drink. I'll tell you one more incident also. All that he did, and then poured the drink in his cup and looked into that cup. And then he suddenly saw Ramakrishna's big figure there because Ramakrishna said, you surrender it to me. So I give it all this effect of drink to him. Let me drink. Suddenly he realized this man, the whole life, he was so pious, so clear. He was clear like a sky, clearer than the sky. And he never had one blemish in his life. And because of me, he has the effect of drink on himself. He couldn't drink. Just impossible for him. Now you see that he has urge to drink, he can't drink, and he has gone into depression, the withdrawal symptoms, and then they had to actually bring him as a really sick person. And Ramakrishna, when they brought to Ramakrishna, Ramakrishna gave a very simple solution. He said, wow, I told you not to drink, but I never told you not to take your medicine. So take the drink like a medicine so that you will not get into this case. Take that quantity like a medicine. But it's really started working. So beautiful. And then he started drinking small little quantity, which was like a medicine that for him to be not. Because for years he has been habituated for that. The culture that has given him like that. So later on he became greatest of the Bhaktas of Ramakrishna. A similar incident happened in my life. I would just quote with that. I was working in a small little remote village, very small little. And I was working there after my joining there for 2, 3 months or so. Another person got posted there. I asked him, you also come and stay with me because I'm just one man. There are about 5, 6 rooms in the house. You can also stay there. He came and stayed, and then the kitchen is there and everything is there. Only thing is, and he's from a very nice Orthodox family. But then only one thing is that evening he has to drink. I just said, please go ahead and you drink, no problem. But only thing is that I will not drink. That's not my habit. But I will give you company, I'll sit with you, and we can have chit chat. Oh, it's okay, fine. Then he made a nice, beautiful table. As I said, that people who drink, they celebrate that drink. You should see that. Nice, wonderful incense. He would sit, he would lit, and then, some kara to eat. And then he would get 2 glasses, bring his drink, whatever it is, beer and lots of the glass of water for me, a water bottle for me. And then we would sit down and start pouring the liquid in our glasses and then start chit-chatting. From 6 o'clock or so to 8, it would continue for 2 hours. Afterwards, we'll have food and then a rest. That's a simple idea. Every day it used to happen. 5 o'clock, I will come back and then have bath, something like that, and then sit down. And before drinking, you must have bath, fresh clothes, and all that. It should be ready. But my work was going into the field. So sometimes it happens, it was getting delayed, half an hour, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. But he would wait till I come and then get ready. One day it so happened, I got delayed up to about 7 o'clock. And then I rushed home. By the time I got home and then get ready, it is 8 o'clock. And this man is sitting with the drink and the glass and everything, just sitting waiting for me. I felt very bad. I said, I made you to wait. I mean, you could have go ahead and taken the liquor because anyway, I'm not taking it. He said, Raghu, without you, I cannot drink. I said, okay. Then onwards, that day, I took it upon myself. Whatever may be the work in the field, I do not delay more than 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I would rush home because his ritual, for me, that drinking ritual was like puja. I do not want to delay it. It happened like that. Next 2 months, that we were happy. After 2 months, that I was posted to somewhere else. I went away, handed over all the work to him. He was taking care of the work. Then my new work I joined, and after 1 month or so, I came back to the previous station, meet with everybody, and then meet with this man. And then moment I came, he was very happy. He took me around various works. This is how much work is done and everything he has done. While going around the works and all those things, suddenly they're all village works. Then he said, "Come on, it's." Then I told him, "It's 5 o'clock. We need to go home." He said, "Why?" He said, "Your ritual of drinking should start." You cannot believe him. He said, "From the day that you left me, I stopped drinking. I don't have motivation to drink." Not one single day I told him not to drink. But that changed him, changed whole personality. His wife first came to me later on, crying. She said, any amount of things that we did made him, uh, affected him not to drink. But your company made him to give up the drinking. That was something which was wonderful. See, like what happens is that you get the inner strength of it. A discipline that you do, every discipline on an object outside will actually strengthen your willpower. Because what happens is that hunger, the stomach wants food, and you don't want to give food. Who doesn't want to give food? Your willpower. You are yourself. You are that. You are that willpower. So all the vasanas, everything that is there within us, any vasana that you take, more than all these vasanas is your willpower. We have to recognize that. We think that they are more powerful than willpower. No, they're never more powerful than the willpower. That's the reason why our discipline in the name of dharma that is given have given us this willpower to grow. Once we have the willpower, that willpower can help us to do anything. And now you see how many avenues are there to continue to cultivate this willpower. People go mauna without talking, without eating food. That's what is upavasa. If you don't understand this principle called as upavasa and mauna, you try to find an alternative ways of escaping from this doing it. You see, it doesn't help your willpower. Like one long time ago when Prashanti was small little place, there hardly anything, was Shishta was the place, and then there was another meditation center was there. Some group from somewhere came to me and they asked me, I was sitting there. They said, we would like to do a spiritual retreat here for about 5 days or 6 days. I said, you can come and do this. It's all open for you. And so they said, okay. And again, just asked, what is that? Our Swamiji is there, we will bring him, and then we all do the spiritual retreat. I said, wonderful. In fact, we wanted this place Swamiji's to visit, virtually spiritual masters. But only one request from me, which you cannot deny it. What is it? I said, whenever your Swamiji is speaking, we should be able to take part in that. Well, ashram, 2, 3 people are there. We should be. Only 2, 3 were there. Then the organizer said, yeah, that's okay, but only thing is our Swamiji does not speak. Wow, does not speak, never? No. He is on the Mauna Vrata. He is not speaking. I said, what, since how long? He said, for last 15 years, he never spoke. Wow, 15 years, he did not speak, Speech center is something which is so forcing us. can't keep quiet. And then 15 years that he has not spoken. When I can't keep quiet for 15 minutes. I thought it was a really great saying. Please come. It's all right. His very presence itself is very valuable. So that Swamiji came, special van came and special seat for him. And then they put the Chela Jana, that is the deerskin and all that. Swamiji sat down. Immediately after the Swamiji sat down, somebody brought the writing pads, 5, 6 writing pads. And then Swamiji is writing on that his instructions saying that what time you should have morning coffee, how much sugar in the morning coffee, what time you should have as breakfast, what are the contents of the breakfast, what time you should have this. I was wondering at Swamiji. Swamiji is really practicing Mauna or converted speaking into writing. See, that means your restlessness at one center, you dissipate through the other center. You are not really developed a mastery over the control. And you call yourself a Swamiji. You see, diverting the energy somewhere else does not make you master. You are not a Swami. Huh? If you do not speak, means what? You have no instructions to give. See, ultimately, what should happen in your mind? Your mind should not have any complaint. Then you don't need to talk. In fact, there are people who are, war victims, war injured people that they started in Bombay, what is called as the Mouth and Foot Painters Association. They put the painting, mouth and foot. That means to say now the hands are not there because the war, they lost that. Now they converted that energy into painting through. They never called themselves to be spiritual giants, spiritual people. It is just converting from one center to another center. Real controlling is that we have no more restless energy with it so that I don't have to do all this diversion. Similarly about the upavasa. Upavasa is, that means you are supposed to abstain from the food. But many houses, they have substitute food. So that Ekadashi food is there, that is, in fact, even in our own house, it was like that. And the special food that they day on the Upavasa day is so tasty. I used to ask my mother, when is the next Upavasa? So it is like that. So, because I didn't understand the meaning of Upavasa. Now you know that how great it is. The power of hunger is so strong. The power of hunger is make them people mad, make them criminals. Whereas if you're able to control that power of hunger, then you have become master over that. That can happen only the strengthening of willpower. So every discipline that we do at every center is actually strengthening your willpower. Vivekananda's case, there is one issue that beautifully happened when he landed in, I think, Belgaum station or something like that. There was a Seth was there traveling with him, and he had the afternoon, Swamiji was hungry, and that Seth opened his lunch box or eating wonderful lunch. Swamiji said, I was hungry, but my salivary glands also did not activate when I look at the food. I'm peaceful inside, honestly peaceful. It is not the question of what sensory organ that you control. Behind the sensory organ, do you have the peace? That peace is the most important thing. Peace is the important activity, which is supposed to give us the happiness. So therefore, what happens is that every denial in the form of a discipline, jitendriya, that we do, is actually enhancing your willpower. And this is what used in our culture. And I will talk about this, how this culture uses this particular aspect of it in the next class we deal with. This is where a very important aspect of Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra aspect has come about in this culture. I'll stop it here. We'll continue the discussion next week. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So you can unmute, and if you have any questions or any remarks.
So Raghuramji, you will tell in the next session how to improve, how to overcome this restlessness?
Yeah. These are all the things. I'll give you all the details, how to get rid of this.
So
Namaste, Claudia.
Raghuramji, if I am restless, for example,
Yeah.
like you said, and because of restlessness, I'm doing something is I need to keep a watch that what I am doing, is it out of restlessness or is it really what I want? Is that so? You also were saying that
think,
we need to keep a watch on that?
either you are frozen or I'm frozen, something like that. But my internet shows okay.
Are you able to hear me now, Raghuramji?
Yeah, I don't hear your question. And now it's okay. Now I can hear.
So if I'm doing many things,
Yeah.
so I need to keep a watch to see if I'm doing out of restlessness or really I want to do. Is that so? Is that or really I want to do? Is that between these two?
No, let's not look at that way. Okay? Restlessness gives this, we do the activity because of restlessness, that keep it only at that level. How we have to do it, what's the meaning of it, what's the way that we are handling the restlessness, I'll talk about it. Please remind me next week. We'll go into that. Otherwise, it gives a wrong picture for the people. I'm glad that you asked that question. Yeah.
Claudia has come on video. Would you like?
Yes. Would you like to say something?
Hello.
Hello,
How are you?
everybody.
Namaste. Namaste.
Good. Okay, I think we'll close the session.
Okay,
Thank you, everybody, for being on the line.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Shastriji. Oh,
Thank
okay,
you so
Sangeeta.
much.
Thank you.
So next week we'll see you, Raghuramji.